Hello, welcome to the first official episode of Breweries of the Bluegrass. I'm James Wolverton. A little bit about myself. You've probably seen me on YouTube, co-host of Let's Talk Bourbon with John Coffey. I'm currently an executive bourbon steward with Stave and Thief Society, a certified beer server with Cicerone, just past my America styles. A lot of IPAs, bold styles in American. On my way to the full official Cicerone and a distillery operator at Castle Key, and I like beer. So a little bit further in, not for the preview episode, the reason why I'm putting this together, we're the Bluegrass. We do very good at bourbon. On social media, especially YouTube, we have a great representation of what we do awesome with bourbon. But we do some awesome beers, and I kind of was surfing around on YouTube and just not the representation I feel we should have. So I decided to put this together for, my entertainment, hopefully your entertainment, and we'll put this together and discover new breweries, revisit old breweries, hopefully start doing some festivals, talking about releases, and further down the road, even talking to some brewers. Be fun. So I decided to start with the very first, which would be Alltech. Well, maybe not the first, but the first of the new era, probably certainly one of the oldest. Alltech, i.e. Lexington Brewing and Distilling Company. So 1999, the original place was called Limestone. Really great ale. I used to order it a lot with Guinness. So it was a black stone. It was kind of fun. Tasty. But 99, they just weren't making it, and Dr. Pierce Lyons, i.e. Alltech, came in and as a good Irishman decided to continue on this brewery and rename it for Lexington Distilling and Brewing. Although it's the other way around because the brewing came first. So he came up with the very first product back in 2000. So they've done some rebranding here recently. So you're going to hear me talk back and forth with old names versus new names. The new name for this, and this has been about a year now, is Kentucky Irish Red Ale. And even in the corner it says the original Kentucky. I'm not a fan of the rebranding. I'll go ahead and admit it. 20 years I've called this Kentucky Ale. When I worked for Total Wine about a year ago, when it started the rebranding, a lot of the consumers weren't happy either because, you just went and asked for Kentucky Ale. I get why they did it because, Dr. Lyons, rest his soul, he just passed away a few years back, was Irish. And it is more of an Irish red ale style, but I just call it Kentucky Ale. But I don't run it. I'm just reporting on it. And a little bit of opinion. When you have to even put in the corner, it's still Kentucky Ale. Maybe you can go back. Very good, solid ale, really enjoyable. The branding side does make sense because it is more of an Irish red ale. Explains more of what it is. That came out in 2000, great offering, really enjoy it. But in 2003, the one rebranding that made the most sense is they came out with Kentucky Ale Light. No, that's not what it says. It says Kolsch because it's a Kolsch style beer made famous by Cologne, Germany. Light, crisp, summery. In fact, it came out in 2003 for the Midsummer Night's Run fun event, but it was called Kentucky Ale Light. It was an awful name. A non-beer person came up with that name. I guess they were trying to, and it was 2003, so it was beginning of the second wave of the big beer revolution. So it didn't last long before they changed it to Kolsch because that's really what it is. Solid. We're filming right now in February. Would not enjoy this, but come spring and summer, it's a terrific beer. It is Kolsch. It's nice. But 2006 is when Kentucky Ale got put on the map, i.e. Alltech and Lexington Brewing and Distilling Company, with their offering of the Kentucky Bourbon Barrel Ale. Oh, so good. Think about it. We're in Lexington, Kentucky. We got distilleries all around us. Let's get our ale. Let's age it in a bourbon barrel. This put them on the map for sure. Now, there were other breweries Goose Island was doing barrel aging even way back in 1992. But no offense to Chicago and Goose Island, they're not in the heart of bourbon country, and they probably didn't have the pick of the barrels that we have. So this really put this brewery on the map. In fact, was watching a special about how Stone, when they were trying to make inroads to Germany, they were showing what American styles could be, and this was even one of the ones in the background. I saw the barrel head, and I'm like, that's so cool. Even called the director in, and she's like, yeah. So really got us well known. Amazing beer. I think it brought a lot of periphery people who would not drink craft beer kind of in the market, because, I mean, once again, we're in the heart of the bourbon country. It's aged in a bourbon barrel. I'm going to try it. I think a lot of, at least in this area, non-craft drinkers kind of got turned on to craft brewing thanks to this boy here. I'll have to be honest on this. I enjoyed this way too much when it came out. I got burned out on it. And then there was a St. Patrick's Day where I thought I was getting the festival size of this, respectable, 6%. Instead, I got the festival size of that, 8.2. Yeah, the director drove me home that night. And ever since then, I've been kind of a little burned out on him. So, but back in 2012, they introduced this bad boy, which I really like. And once again, another rebranding. Because when I went to go buy it, they used to call this Bourbon Barrel Stout. And now it's Kentucky Coffee Stout, but aged in bourbon barrels. Once again, I guess they're trying to say, hey, this is what it is on the label. Because it is a coffee stout. Aged in bourbon barrels, who knows? Once again, I've called that by a specific name for 8 years, and now I don't know, Alltech. You guys make the decisions, I just drink the beer. But a really solid beer. In my opinion, anything that the faults I had with the Kentucky Ale, the bourbon barrel, I found it a hair too sweet, because ales can tend to be sweet, and then you get the bourbon notes, it just overpowered, versus when you get a coffee stout, you get some nice bitterness, and the coffee flavor, it's more contrast instead of, taking all the sweetness to 11, to quote Spinal Tap. Really good. I enjoy a lot. Fortunately, I have not burnt myself out on this yet. So that's the big four. They do an IPA, because if you're a craft distiller and don't do an IPA, the beer police come and shut you down. They also do a lot of great seasonal releases. Had the Pumpkin Barrel aging upstairs. This past year they introduced a tequila wheat, which outstanding. Once again, aging upstairs. So wonderful. Once again, we just usually say Alltech in this neck of the woods, although it's called Lexington Brewing and Distilling, but Alltech's a lot shorter. But they've done a lot in the community, being one of the forebearers of it. They did a wonderful beer festival. They still do, they just shrunk it down this year. I think a lot was happening at Rupp, which is where they usually held the festival. It was doing some remodeling, so they just shrunk, and it got out of hand. It just got way too big. But even as part of that festival, they made sure to give back to the community. There was a lot of symposiums on craft brewing, a lot of symposiums on at-home craft brewers. So for someone to start back in '99, they've really made sure that the community and the other craft brewers have at it and can learn from what they've done. 6 for this is a slightly less ABV than the Kentucky Ale, so really nice. But I wanted to end this episode by, they put out a special, and I'll step back for a little bit. Special 20th anniversary of the Kentucky Bourbon Barrel. Does not have an age on it. It says extra aged ale, but not how long. But you can tell it is a little bit longer because the ABV is 9.7, if I remember right. Yeah, 9.7 on this. Another note, it's really cool. The wax on the top, really nice, makes it pretty. It is a pain, and the Turkish for my Yiddish friends, the pain in the Turkish to open it. We kind of made a mess of the wax kind of because there's a bottle cap underneath. I really kind of just wanted to prep it, then open it and look all fancy during it, but it kind of got to the point where I just had to open it. But really nice. We'll go ahead and, unlike trying to do it in a big festival glass, we'll do the tulip glasses, which barrel age is supposed to be. Yes, our New Belgium and high wire. Let's see what we think of this bad boy. And one is for the director behind us. So they do a tour. It's a nice tour. Especially for your watchers who are coming over from Let's Talk Bourbon or some of the bourbon channels. They do a bourbon part of the tour and a beer part of the tour. It is in downtown Lexington. So if you're starting the bluegrass trail for distilleries, great transition into beer. The only complaint I have, and I think this might be left over because we're really, alcohol and bourbon and beer tourism's relatively new in this area. They don't have a tap room. I don't know if they couldn't get one at the time or if the location didn't, but they do, like I said, I mentioned a few seasonal releases. They do quite a few, and it would be really nice if while you're there, you could get a beer after the tour. They're just not set up for that. So that would be, the tour is fun, but that's my only critique on it. Oh, wow, that smells good. So still some carbonation down at the bottom there. Mm-hmm. Nice. I have to say this is my first Kentucky ale in a long time, and this is a lot mellower than I remember. Very good. So this is the first one. That's why I want to start with the one that's in my backyard. The ones that really help contribute to beer here in the bluegrass, and one of the ones I've been drinking for 20 years before really got much more into beer than I have the past few years. Next week, we're going to start with one of our new ones. It's out of Frankfurt. It's only a year old. I'll give you some more hints in the next couple of weeks. Hope you check in with us again. I don't know where the graphics going to be for the like or subscribe, so I'm going to put either area. If you do like, subscribe. If you have any suggestions, please put it down here at this box. Right above the beers, I guess. I don't know where the box will be. We'll add that in. But it will be fun. And give me suggestions, other breweries. See, distilleries. And you just slip into that. You can't help it in the bluegrass. But that's why we need to talk more about the beers we offer, because most of them barrel aged. I will see you guys in a couple weeks. Always drink craft and always drink local. Have a good night.